Hey kiddos, so some of you had some questions about the persuasive papers, and so I thought I would just make you a really quick tutorial rundown guide to your persuasive papers. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline what your formatting should look like. I'm going to go give you some pointers about what your intro paragraphs should look like, what they should include, and then I will just go through some of the body paragraphs and tell you about how you need to connect the contentions that you had from your debates and how they will tie into your papers, and then we'll look over really quickly a conclusion, and this will give you a really good indicator about what it is that I'm expecting from you, and then so then you can work on them over the course of the next couple days. So I'm going to pull up the example that we looked at already. Okay, so when I gave you the example, it was because you could then see what it is that I'm expecting. But I understand that you looked at it twice and maybe you already forgot what it looked like. So let's look at this one. So this is Phoebe's from last year. And so what I've done is I'm going to make some notes about what I'm looking for. Okay, first of all, we'll work our way down. Okay, so right at the top, you can notice that right here we have page numbers. Okay, so you need to insert page numbers on the top right hand corners of all of your work. And the way you do this is you go into insert. And this is Microsoft Word. Yours might look a little bit different, but I think the function should all be kind of the same. Go insert, and then you can go to page numbers, which is just located here, top of the page, and then you can select what they look like. Okay, so play number 1, play number 2, play number 3. You can play around and just see which one works best for you. That's what it would look like. Okay, so plain page number. And then, so let's top right, and working our way down, this is now going to be your other portions of your paper. Okay, so let's take a look at this, shall we? Okay, so you need to have your name, first and last name, your teacher, in this case it would be me, and then English 8, and then the date. Okay, you can type these all just in sequential, and then when you make it double spaced, it'll space them out evenly. So I would just type them all in. Make it on the left-hand side, and then when you double space, I'll show you how to do that too. It will do that for you. Okay, another thing you're going to need to know is you are going to need a title. Okay, in this case, Phoebe did not bold it or underline it. You can do bold and underline. And so you need to put a title of your work. So this one is called The Changing Perception on Violent Video Games Promoting Violence. Okay, so her topic was violent video games promote violent behavior. Okay, note that her title was not just her contention. Okay, so a title has to do with your contention, but it also kind of alludes to your position. Okay, so come up with a title for your paper, and then it obviously has to kind of allude to or kind of like guide me towards what position you are taking. Okay, so let's get into this intro paragraph. Okay, so as you can see, I have highlighted in green the hook sentence. Okay, so you must start off with a hook. In this case, there's a rhetorical question or a question that's posed. Phoebe states, is society's perception the cause of a warped reality on violent video games promoting violent behavior? Okay, so that's how she hooks her reader in. She's asking this question that she is then going to prove answer over the course of her essay. Okay, so that's the hook. So start off with a hook. And then here we have a definition. So she goes into defining her terms. Violence is defined by the Oxford Dictionary as a behavior that uses or involves physical force or intended to hurt, damage, or kill someone. Okay, so remember when we did your debates, you had to define your terms. Okay, so right off the bat, she defines her terms here. This is the approach she took. It's up to you how you wish to do it. However, this is a format in which, of course, is acceptable. Here you have some filler sentences that will kind of link your definition to your points that you're going to make. So she states, additionally, violent video games are described as games rated M for mature according to the Entertainment Software Rating Board, which means these games may possess content with intense violence, blood, gore, sexual content, and or strong language. Okay, so this is just kind of giving you some more background information about how things are defined in the real world. Now, this brings us right here to her thesis statement. Okay, her thesis, and I've color coded them in two different colors, Because her thesis statement contains the 2 points that she will be raising over the course of her essay. Now, she makes 2 statements that are validating or reinforcing her position that violent video games do not promote violent behavior, and these are the 2 reasons why. So let's get into it. Violent video games are not promoting violence due to the fact that they are beneficial for the player's mental health, and for the reason that if violent video games did cause people to act violently, crime rates would not decrease. Okay, so we see 2 things. The first is that there's a mental health issue, and the second is a raise in crime rates. Okay, so she says crime rates would not decrease or be decreasing. Okay, so these are the 2 arguments she's making. So note the blue. So the blue is the first contention she's going to raise, and I've color coordinated it here, so she leads with it. In truth, violent video games are not inducing violent behavior, and are actually improving mental health of players by means of giving them an environment to safely vent their anger. Okay, so that's her contention. Okay, so here, lead with your contention. Okay, so remember, you've picked your 2 contentions that you thought were strongest, or the 2 points you wanted to raise that were strongest, and you're going to have those as kind of like your introductory sentences for your body paragraphs. Okay. Then it says, to start, there are many studies proving that violent video games provide a secure place to expel anger. One of the aforementioned studies, Bensley and then Enwick, 2001. Okay, so as you can see, she now is providing her evidence. Okay, these are the studies and the points that she's raised. Okay, now this is all stuff that you should have done already for your debate, so this part really is kind of just like copying and pasting and then reformatting and then changing some of the words, right? Like where you say my partner and I or our opponents, right? You're removing all that kind of first person language and you're changing it just to statements that are proving your point. Okay, as you can see, like it gets further elaborated with many other studies. And that is that. Okay, so body paragraph 2, you lead again with your second contention or the point that you want to raise. So in her case, it's violent video games are not the cause of violent behavior, and this is demonstrated through the fact that as violent video game sales rise, the rate of violent crimes has fallen. Okay, so this is her second contention. Okay, and then she goes into explaining her research, as you can see. Okay, so that's what you need to do. So you're going to have your introductory paragraph, which includes a hook, your definition of terms, some additional information that's going to link you into your thesis statement, and then your thesis statement, which contains the 2 contentions that you're going to raise. Obviously not worded word for word, but you're going to give some just supporting kind of information there. Okay, so your contentions then will be the introductory sentences to your body paragraphs, and that will make the bulk of your essay. So your essay is essentially a 4-paragraph essay, where it's intro, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Okay, and let's take a look at Phoebe's conclusion here. Violent video games cannot be pinned as the cause of violence for the reason that they have the aptitude to improve a person's mental health, and due to the fact that crime rates would not be declining if these games did not induce violence. Video games that are violent are not the cause of violent behavior. They are, in fact, an aid to the player with aggression and depression by providing a place to come to terms and reestablish balance in their emotions. Okay, so as you can see, she's tying in her points. She's kind of summarizing them in her conclusion. She is raising, there's no new evidence at this point. You're just kind of reiterating the points you've made, and you are drawing it to a close. Okay, and then you want to end with like a very strong statement. It could be a lasting thought. It could be a rhetorical question. In this case, she has gone with the question, and it says this. Okay, let's see. I'll just highlight it. Okay, this is kind of her closing remarks, the 2 final sentences of her essay. And it says, for if the bias for video games can be removed, the bias in life can slowly erode, and what is left is a clearer and more just world. It begs the question, is our perception on violent video games preventing us from facing the reality? Okay, so here she's ended with a rhetorical question, the rhetorical question being, are we blinded by our own personal bias, of which she is arguing we are? Okay, so that is that. Okay, so now what you should do is you should be formatting your your paragraphs and writing your intros and conclusions. Your rough drafts at this point should probably be done, but if not, then this will provide you with a quick guide on how to do it. Okay, some of you had questions about like how do I double space? The answer to that question is you would select all your text. Okay, let's pretend that that's all of it. You'd right click, you'd hit paragraph, then it would be line and then double. Okay, so that's how you do that. And then at the very bottom of your essay, you should have your citations. She has quite a bit. Okay, so the way she has done it is as follows. Okay, so she has followed MLA formatting. Yeah, MLA. And so goes author's last name, first name, the article, and then the journal, and then the year, page number, and so on and so forth. We are doing a lesson on this probably tomorrow, which will show you how to format it correctly. And then she double spaced it and hanging indented. I'll show you how to hanging indent now. So you select it, you right click, paragraph, special. This one is not, there we go, and then hanging. Okay, so that's how you hanging indent. A hanging indent is like where the first line is justified to the left, and then there's this like almost like a tab space over. Okay, that's called a hanging indent, and all of them, as you can see, follow that format. Great, so that's just a really quick explanation on what your persuasive paper should look like, how you should do your intro, things that you should look for in your conclusion, and yeah. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I thought I'd just make you this really quick video, and maybe that would answer or eliminate some of your questions.